In Washington, Senator Eastland represents his neighbors in a fashion that some find confusing. A staunch opponent of government handouts, he did nevertheless support his colleague, Senator Stennis, who proposed a bill authorizing a $25 million emergency measure to feed hungry people. It died in the House. The senator still thinks and speaks for the folks back home. He has publicly declared that Negroes living on his plantation, working or not, have a home for life. One of his neighbors is Negro activist Fannie Lou Hamer, one of the founders of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party. To her, the senator's generosity has a hollow ring.
Senator Eastland has never done nothing for nobody poor, not in this county.
You are listening to
Marty and the Breaux. Hey, how's everybody doing, man? So what this actually is a standalone clip out from the beginning of our episode 10 of the podcast, which make sure you check. We have the links in the description, and it was a really good conversation. And I wanted to share it with you all, but it needs a little more context. So to give you all that, we were discussing a YouTube clip I found, which also will be linked down below and up top if you see it, about Senator James Eastland and his plantation back in 1964, and they actually interviewed the sharecroppers, the YouTuber, the site's name, the channel's name is David Hoffman. He's a prolific filmmaker, and he has does some really good work. So and a bunch of historical things of all kinds. So it's it's really interesting stuff. Make sure you check out his channel. I have it linked down below. But yeah, man, so that's the context. We talk about a lot of different things around this topic, but I just want to kind of share you all what we were talking about. And I do believe that context is very important when trying to decide, seeing what history had in store for us, and correlating that to the future and present. So yeah, without further ado, here's our talk. So you checked out the video.
I checked out the video. I didn't see any Biden tie-ins with that video, but you evidently saw some other videos too.
Well,
that kind of tied Biden to Eastman or something.
Yeah, well, I remember. I just had the feeling that I know Biden for sure had ties to segregationists and blah 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 people, and I was like, Senator, this dude Eastland. I had just noticed. I was like, he's alive at this time. I think there was like color. I think one of them ladies was on color TV, so I was like, all right, I think Biden was around at this time, and it just so happens that was the senator he was having these conversations with, Senator Eastland. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just one of those, like, I knew it.
The thing that got my attention from that segment, or from that, whatever, the documentary, was that the public line, the public perception was that Eastman was a generous, nice guy, that he had generously told them that they could live out their lives on the plantation if they wanted to.
Well, I think he might have nice about that, because he told me to stay there as long as I want to stay in that house. I'm in. He said, as long as I live, as long as I want to stay in the house, I could stay there.
Yeah.
And it makes you think, oh, this Eastman guy, he's not racist. He's actually he's a good guy.
And any kind of help that he said that if I need amongst my children kind of sickness, he'll help me sometimes.
Exactly, yeah.
But then you realize he's ripping them off the entire time, taking 25% of lending to them at 25% rates, and they can't.
You caught that too.
Really
I had to real quick. I had to Google the 2 bits. I don't know. How did you when she said it's 2 bits on the dollar? I was like, what's a bit? And what I'm saying, I seen it was 25 cents on the dollar. What did you already know what that meant?
You have to pay tax on that money, what you borrow. Any money you borrow is 2 bits on a dollar. You know that.
No, go over that. In other words, when you borrow money from Senator Eastland, you've got to pay an interest?
Yeah, I had to pay interest on it.
Tell us about that. Go all the way through and tell us how that works.
Yeah, see, when I borrow it, just like I borrowed $30, well, I'm got to pay 2 bits on every one of them dollars I borrowed from him.
I already knew that. I knew that only from the, that dun, 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 that little ending.
Yeah.
That is it's a tonal ending that's very common, but people have applied words to that. And one of the little phrases that they used to apply to that back in the 50s or 60s or whatever was shave and a haircut, 2 bits.
And that was 25. So it was a shave and a haircut for 25 cents?
25 cents. That was a quarter. 2 bits is a quarter. Yeah.
Oh, can you imagine a shave and a haircut for
There's
25
also
cents?
a children's rhyme, like 2 bits, 4 bits, 6 bits, $1. Or something like that. 2 bits, 4 bits, 6 bits, $1. That didn't even make any sense, but something like that. Anyway, 2 bits is 25 cents is a quarter.
Yeah, no, I had to Google it. It came from because back in the day they used to use pesos in America too, apparently, and so 2 pesos, you know what I'm saying, would equal 25 cents. And that's what 2 bits were. Yeah, back in those days. Yeah, crazy, right? I Googled it, but so real quick, I'm gonna show you this article. You can see my screen, right? You can probably see it from afar, but this is the article that says Joe Biden. Yeah, on Joe Biden, James Eastland. It's just this is one of the. This right, it's just a letter that he sent to him, and calling him his esteemed colleague and stuff like that. And also, he asked him for his help on he agreed with the non-busing thing that Senator Eastland was on. But I also agreed what I understood with you, man. Bro, I saw the same thing when the lady was like, oh yeah, I don't what'd she say again?
He let us stay here. He told us that we could stay here the rest of our lives.
Canceled. You're canceled. No, but, yeah, no, but no, but no, exactly. It was bro. So think about what that when I saw that, like, because I always try to look at connecting dots, and like something for me that always kind of stuck with me, like being from the South, there's not only do white people like. The whole Republican thing of I don't want the government giving handouts, right? You know what I'm saying? Even, I've always been, what's the word? I've always been sympathetic to that argument from people because I know, you know what I'm saying? A lot, I know there are a lot of people who use that for racism or whatever, but, I do know people, I know white people who just genuinely are dumb enough to, that's really how they feel. But then watching that, I thought about it. I was like, what if there's actually... It is rooted in something a little more than, especially because the black community, there's that same sentiment, right? Saying a lot of the black community in the South, they're like not, we don't like the idea of, being, government handouts and stuff. The conservative blacks, right? There's a lot of black people who kind of lean more towards conservative stuff, right? In the South in general, right? And I'm thinking, what if
they feel like it is they've kind of bought into this notion that. They sort of bought into the white supremacy construct by agreeing with this notion that black people are inferior and that the handout and that I don't know, it's like trying to
that the
grab
video we just
some
watched,
dignity or something. I don't know.
Well, see that video we just watched, right? You know what I'm saying? Like how. What if we were trying to put it in context or something like so? This lady, to me, that kind of encapsulates a lot of people like that. I think that lady is representative of like a good idea of like a house Negro or basically most of America just going along to get along. She was okay with going along to get along. Like she thought he's a nice guy, what I'm saying, because he lets me stay here for free. Even though she sat down with the interview for this lady and talked about how she he's taxing me 25 cents on the dollar. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got no electricity.
Tell us about what your family is going to eat until you get more.
Well, they'll eat some turnip greens and some cornbread. All I know, because I don't have anything else. And I don't have no money to buy nothing with. I don't have no job. I have been trying to get one, but I can't. And the boy there, I need money now for him. He finishing school. I got to pay that money off for him, in school. And he's graduating from high school trying to go to college.
Like, you know what I mean? Like she's going through all of these issues. Even with all that being said, she's like, well, I think he's still kind of a nice man. He lets me stay here, you know what I mean? And it's like this kind of like a, like go along to get along, or like just getting the bare minimum kind of energy that, kind of, I think that, conservative, in watching that, I thought maybe what if, there isn't just from a, white supremacist narrative that bores from also. Cause like, if I was living back then, saying I would look at this lady and be, and see that as like, you don't see how these handouts, saying may not be government handouts. This dude, this is a handout that, saying is keeping you down, right? He's intentionally like, saying like he is the stereotype that conservatives, saying portray for real. You get what I'm saying? So it was like, whoa.
He's a micro example of the same macro issue that government handouts.
Possibly,
it's the same mechanism involved that we pretend to help you. At the same time,
exactly. I definitely believe that 100%, right? But what I'm thinking is, what if that conservative? Because I don't, mostly speculation on the like, in watching that, it's like I said, because there's a lot of black people that feel the same way about handouts, too. And it's like I'm like, what if it that comes from not just a buying into white supremacist point? What if that comes from a deeper point of like, because like I said, that was sharecropping. That was, what is that, 60s? That wasn't that. He said his colleague recorded that. I don't know if you watched the, I think his name David Hoffman, the filmmaker.
My colleague and a cameraman walked onto their plantation. He would have been killed if Eastland had caught them. He could shoot them. And he interviewed the sharecroppers.
You know what I'm saying? Dude's still alive.
It was 64.
Yeah,
it was the date on there.
Yeah. So
that's the year I was born. By the way.
Wow, that's crazy. He wouldn't got that. It was probably down the street from your house. Oh, sorry.
I don't live in Mississippi. I never have lived in Mississippi.
All right. Okay.
Not down the street from my house.
But and even though I'm partially talking out of my ass, but like when I say like it's just an interesting idea to come across, and like thinking about like imagining being back then, being alive back then, where there was sharecropping. They're just fresh out of actual goddamn slavery and segregation. You know what I mean? Like there was sharecropping. You know what I mean? Like that's like a step up from slavery, if I'm not mistaken. Like, you know what I mean? That's like
a small step.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like that's
it's like in a sense it's another form of slavery. It's another form of slavery.
I think employer relationships another form of slavery. So I'm with you on that. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? Like I think it is just a step up, right? And it was just, I don't know, it's a serfdom. It's like a serfdom system. Yeah. And it actually goes into, I can just go into my other crazy theory. And watching that, I had the kind of epiphany that, I'm going to random speculation mode. If this doesn't happen, y'all can just, you hold me to it. I'm think that Amazon is going to start housing people the way this dude did. I'm looking at like the way this guy, Senator Eastland did. I can see Jeff Bezos doing the same thing and couching it in a different way. Like we have homes.
Oh, if it's not already being done, yeah.
Yeah, our employees can stay in these Amazon homes, and and what they don't know is like they're being taxed on the back end on their checks or something on some. You know what I mean? Like I could just see it coming and being very similar to that. You know what I'm saying? And real quick, I want to
them spinning it. That look how they're taking care of their employees, and the truth is they are entrapping their employees.
And there'll be employees that are just like that lady that's like, oh, I like Jeff Bezos. He lets me stay here for free, and I get paid to work for him. You know what I mean? Like
you're canceled.
I can do it. I can do that. No, I'm probably canceled too, honestly. For many reasons, right? But yeah, man, no, I thought that was, I don't know, I thought you would, find it interesting too. It's just, to me, it's like, I think this is, it kind of, to me, kind of shows like a cyclical kind of thing going there. And it's just, I don't know, like I said, to see it that close in person, like the video, it does hit different. And then also the interesting thing with the lady who, who basically started a whole nother party from the Dixiecrats to get some change. That was an interesting little tidbit.
One of the sharecroppers who speaks became famous, Fannie Lou Hamer. She was one of the founders of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, an alternative party to the Dixiecrat Democrats in the state of Mississippi. And she and the other people speaking in this video are unafraid to speak out. I think they were unbelievably courageous, given what James Eastland could have done to them.
Also, something that you had said earlier that I think might be interesting is that you notice that the filmmakers themselves they took great pains to say that these people were brave to be having these conversations in the first place. Because remember, Eastman at the time was a senator from Mississippi, and the power and the phone calls that he could make. So they had to be careful, or maybe they didn't even know how careful they needed to be, but the filmmakers knew.
Yeah, that's,
you know what I mean? The cameraman and the guy, they were listening to this information. They were listening to those employees, I'm air quotes for that. They were listening to those employees tell their story and thinking to themselves, oh man, this could really get the senator in hot water. They had awareness of how they had more awareness of what was happening than even she did.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Because her context was only that. She didn't have those outside perspectives that they did.
Definitely, man. And you know, I think what was the icing on the cake was, you know, I don't know if it was whoever that politician or, you know, congressperson, whoever that person was at the end that went off on the whole, you know, saying we need to teach black people how to eat and how to, you know, how to live kind of thing.
We find that a lot of poor people say they can't afford stamps. They don't realize they have been spending a lot more money for food than it would take them to get the food stamps. And it takes education to reach them, and then of course it takes nutrition education to teach them what to buy and when and how to prepare it so they'll get a maximum benefit from it.
At the end, I'll check that. That was just like just icing on the cake. Like, this is crazy. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, you know.
Yeah.
Like, it was all interesting all around. You know.
Yeah. Agreed.
You know, context. All right. Well, I appreciate you, man. You know. Yeah. I recorded that whole thing, so that seems like we can do something with that. So.
Charlie Edwards' generation may wonder at the ways of Washington, but it's too old to make any demands. But when Mr. Edwards looks at Doddsville through the eyes of his son returning from Vietnam, it's a different point of view.
I think he ought to have some of what he needs. I think he ought to have a good home to live in. I think he ought to have bathrooms in his house. I think he ought to have everything that a poor man could have, especially when he went up against what's going on in Vietnam. So I think so myself if I had to go to Vietnam. I think if I went and took all the punishment, and everything happened to me while I was in Vietnam, and then come back home and couldn't have a decent bed to lay down in, and not a decent job, I don't think I'd feel like ever going back no more. If it was for my country, I wouldn't feel like it's for my country, not especially for my part of it, for me. I feel like it's for the other fellas did to me.
Yo, you like what you just saw? Make sure you like, share, subscribe so the algorithms can algorithm or whatever sorcery they do. Follow us on our socials, links all down in the description, and let's keep rocking.